Welcome to Day and Night, episode 1. How we doing, Jake?
We're doing good.
Yeah, you feeling good?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. So on this episode, we are diving into the topic of fear. We're going to get straight into this. I want to know, Jake, what are you afraid of?
See, this is a hard question because I don't really know what I'm afraid of. So I looked up what the top 10 fears are.
All right.
All right.
What do we got?
Well, I read through them and none of them stood out to me. So we have fear of social interactions, number 1.
Yeah.
Fear of failure, maybe.
That's a big one.
That is a big one. Fear of death.
Yeah.
Fear of developing a disease. Spiders. Driving. Enclosed spaces. Heights. And flying.
Yeah.
My top fears.
My list is a little different.
Oh, really?
I got fear of commitment in mine. Fear of intimacy.
Okay.
So that could be in your friendship category. Flying was number 1. Flying and public speaking. For some reason, these are always top fears. So I think the fear of flying is kind of like my father-in-law is super afraid of flying.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's honestly just because you're completely out of control. You're at the mercy of the pilot.
Sure.
You have no control. You're in a metal tube in the sky, floating around with 300 strangers.
400 miles an hour or faster.
And something bad happens. What do you do?
But would you want control? Like, I feel like I trust a trained pilot over my incompetent self.
This requires you to trust other people.
True.
How many other people do you actually trust with your life? Yeah. When you're in control, even if there is an illusion, even if they say flying is safer than driving, who cares? You have control.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So it's interesting the role that fear plays in our lives. Like, if you just off the top of your head, man, what are some of the things that you start to think of when I say fear and the role it plays in your life?
The role it plays?
Yeah.
When you say fear, I think of like dark places.
Okay.
And then you say role in my life, and I'm like, what am I afraid of? How does fear control me?
Yes.
know? I'm like, okay, how does
fear affects everyday decisions.
Yeah. That was one thing I was trying to think about is like, we think of fears as like things I'm afraid of, like spiders, flying, stuff like that. And those are like, I almost put them in a different category because I'm like, I don't really fly every day.
Yeah.
I don't see a spider every day.
Public speaking?
Yeah. I don't really do that every day.
No.
But then, like, how does fears actually, how do I actually come up to that every single day?
Yeah. And here's some of the, when it comes down to it, facing our fears is how we grow as people. So that's what I mean when I say, how is it the role it plays in your everyday life, right? Think about it. The first time you ever asked a girl out, you feeling confident? Is there a little bit of butterflies, some fear building up in you before that moment? But then think about the confidence you had the next time you asked a girl out, or the next time. I've done it before.
Yeah, I got this.
I got this. It removes the mystery around it, and you're able to step into it in a different way. So a lot of times, simply fear of the unknown becomes the biggest thing for us. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. So one of the keys for us conquering our fear is getting comfortable with not knowing. Embracing the unknown, knowing that as you go through it, you're going to become someone who then becomes fearless.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fear plays a major role in our lives. There's a lot of things that people just don't do every single day. People are afraid to start podcasts. People are afraid no one's going to like them. People are afraid to do things. I mean, I have people that their lives are literally on hold because they're afraid to take the next step.
Shoot. Sorry.
It can be crippling.
Yeah, my aunt. So my aunt has this friend, and she does not drive on freeways because she's afraid of them.
She's afraid of freeway.
So she drives into LA.
It's like it turns into a monster is trying to eat her.
I guess. Well, she just said like crazy things happen on the freeways, whatever. But she'll drive hours to avoid freeways.
That is a lot of work.
That's all. Yeah. It's a lot of fear.
The role that fear plays in your life, bam.
Huge.
It's huge. So I want to get into just what the word says
Yeah.
as we get into it, because it's
Sure.
very interesting. The word has a lot to say about fear. The number one thing that comes to mind is fear is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, which is what? I thought God was loving and inviting me into the family. But the genesis, the moment where I begin to understand and interact and all of these things with God, is the start of it is fear. How does that work?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that one, buddy?
Yeah. Okay. So I looked up fear, like just plain old definition. What is fear?
What
So
is it?
it came up with this. This is the definition. Fear is one of the 7 universal emotions. Fear arises when threat or harm, either physical, emotional, psychological, or real, or even imagined. Okay, so when these things happen, while traditionally considered a negative emotion, fear actually serves as an important role in keeping us safe. That was one of the definitions. All right. The definition under that is also regard to God, reverence or awe.
So when you're getting into this whole fear of God thing, it's a fascinating thing to actually think about and work through a bit. What is the opposite of fear of God?
Not fear of God.
Fear of man.
So you're afraid
You're afraid of people's opinions of you, people's thoughts of you. So that thing that you're actually afraid of can actually become an idol. So the fear of God actually shows you his value, his worth, his worthiness of being worshiped in your life. And that's why it's the beginning, the moment of wisdom for you to realize there's something bigger and greater than humanity. There's something more worthy of praise than professional athletes or musicians or all these other things. So there's a creator out there. And the cool thing is it's the beginning of the wisdom. It's not the end of wisdom. It's the moment where you realize there's something bigger in the world, and that radically changes you. And then you dive into the story, and it's, this God is loving. This God is kind. This God is awesome. This God is for me. This God is incredible. And so, yeah, it starts with fear, and you should, honestly, it's a fearful thing to go before God. But then Jesus hits the scene. And in John 4:18, it says perfect love casts out all fear. And scripture constantly tells us the relationship between fear and anxiety, they are like best friends. Because so much of our anxiety comes from fear. And so when the Bible tells us to cast all of our anxiety before God, that he will lift you, it's telling us to actually rely on God, to give him our fears. So us having fears is a very present reality of life. We're afraid of things. Like my biggest fear, if I had to boil it down, would be dying young. And I'm not afraid to die, but even this fear is irrational in a sense. So I believe in a all-loving, all-knowing, perfect Savior. God created, spoke the world into existence, all of this, right? That means that this God loves my children more than I do. So the core of my fear is that I will not be there to take care of my children, that I won't be there to raise them, to be them with them through the hard, the good, the bad, the ugly, to teach them the gospel, to teach them all these things. So at the core of that fear is my pride, that I'm going to be the one to do it, and that God doesn't have a plan outside of me to get it done.
Yeah. Or you don't trust that God will keep you safe.
Yeah.
To be able to be that person in their
so
life.
How does his perfect love cast out all fear?
You just trust in him. He's got a bigger plan.
You perfectly trust in a loving, in control, bigger than life God. This makes us fearless. So let me ask you this. What would change in your life if you had no fear?
Oof. Zero fear. First thing that comes to mind, like, I'm going to go skydiving, do some crazy stuff.
Awesome.
But on a more serious note.
Yeah. No, this is a fun one.
Yeah.
What's a goofier note? What are you doing if you have no fear? Jumping out of planes?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no fear. Jumping out of planes. Dude, I want to like fly a jet, like blow something up.
Dude,
That'd be sick. Like launch one of those missiles from like
that'd be
a
dope.
jet.
I want to let you like shoot an arrow, like hit the apple like off my
Oh
head.
yeah, that'd be sweet. Oh, I want to be like the
If you
the
had-
knife thrower.
If you are fully confident that like of the outcome,
Yeah.
because we have the full confidence of the outcome of our life with God. Regardless of what happens tomorrow, like the outcome is you with Jesus forever.
Let's go.
So this is living a fearless life. So the more serious note of things, like how does your life change if you're fearless?
Well, it's like I'm not going to be afraid to put my trust in God. You know, we trust in Him fully. I have no more fear. I don't have to worry that like I have to control things in my life. Like I don't have to worry like, oh shoot, like I'm trying to think of examples here.
I mean, you're 20, soon to be
Yeah.
21,
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
big life decisions coming
Yeah.
up, career, all this stuff. The prototypical 20-year-old's anxiety level is stacked right now. You will be radically different than your peers if you're fearless. And you will be light years ahead of them because of it.
Yeah.
Talk about the crippling fear that holds people back. Talk about putting your trust in money. So when the stock market booms, you don't change. When you lose a job, you are fearless. You are a rock. You are these things, not because of your gifts, your talents, your abilities, how strong or weak or good looking or ugly you are. You're fearless because of the perfect love of God for you and for me and for everybody else who's listening. So the role of fear in our life is actually important. It's important for us to face them. It's important for us to move through the fear and see that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, that first time you ask a girl, oh, next time you're good. Maybe
Unless she said no the first time.
well, even then,
The
you
worst that'll
still
happen.
grow from it. You
Yeah.
still conquered the moment of speaking to a girl. It's a baby step, but it's a step.
Mm-hmm.
And people need to learn to be fearless. And the core of us being fearless is leaning into God. Our God is bigger. Our God's bigger than the boogeyman. According to VeggieTales, our God's bigger than the boogeyman. He's bigger than the monsters on TV. And he's watching out for you and me.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. But then do your beliefs play out?
Yeah.
Because if you start to see, when you start to get anxious,
Mm-hmm.
when the fear starts rising, we got to examine and go, okay, why am I not trusting in God right now? Why are these fears creeping up? We just walked through 2 years of people being afraid of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still living in that. And we need to fear not. Like, we need to grow a pair. Like, our God is on our side. I'm tired of these weenies out there. Like, are you kidding me? What are you afraid of?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about the opposite of fear of God is the fear of man.
Yeah.
What does this fear of man produce? Like, what red flag should I be looking for?
Great question. So, things that the fear of man are going to produce in you, it's going to make you consistently a people pleaser. You're going to be really concerned about other people's opinions of you. So what can happen from there is you're going to bend and sometimes break within your morality structure. You're going to not stand up for things that you believe in, or you're going to shy back and not say things that need to be said. So, and what can inevitably happen from that is you become apathetic, and you don't step into the difficult. And you, every time that fear continues to come up, like it's the silly old, you can't be afraid to strike out. You got to go up there and swing the bat and see what happens.
Yeah.
You go up there, I'm going to strike out. I'm going to strike out. Yeah, you're going to strike out. but going after it and being bold in it. So just examining your own life and looking at it, like that's the number one thing I think I see in young people's lives is they're going to compromise.
Yeah.
They want to fit in, and that's the number one thing. They want that promotion. They want that job. They want that girl. They want that friend group. They want these things, and they're unwilling to stand up for what they believe in.
Mm.
And our faith requires us to stand up for a lot that isn't popular.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. I wanna dive into another thing right now.
All right.
All right,
Switching notes.
switching to just we're not gonna call it cool, not cool. What do we decide to call this?
I don't remember.
Doesn't matter. All right. Fearful things.
Okay.
Halloween time.
Okay.
All this stuff.
Okay.
Is it awesome? Is it lame? All right. You tell me. I have strong opinions about a lot of this stuff.
Oh boy.
No one has ever accused me of not having strong opinions about things. So, all right. Haunted houses. Overrated, underrated. That's what I'm
Overrated.
calling.
Okay. Overrated, underrated.
Overrated, underrated.
See, okay, this is a hard one for me because for many years I built haunted houses.
You did.
So I like them a lot, but as a whole, I would say overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah. Like
Right.
they're not that cool for what they are.
Sure.
And as someone who built them, I've never actually been to one
What?
and I don't actually enjoy them. I just like scaring other people. So, you know.
You're kind of a jerk. Okay. So, in the same note, Halloween Horror Nights, Universal, Disney, all these places. Overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Overrated?
Also never been to one. though.
Also never been to one. Wow.
Okay, have you been?
I've totally been.
Okay, overrated, underrated.
I think they're slightly overrated. They're a good time.
Okay.
High school, you're going, make sure to go with a girl. All right. Because she's going to scream and she's going to cling to you, and you got to be strong and stand firm. And then she's going to think you're awesome. Okay.
Okay.
But, I mean, they're fine. People running up to you, scaring you. You never know what's going to happen. So, what about zombies? Zombies, overrated, underrated. This one's cake.
This one's cake.
This is a softball.
You think they're overrated?
Overrated.
For what they are?
Do you know how many zombie shows there are now?
So many.
Fear the Walking Dead or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
on its like 6th season. The Walking Dead, which is the original show, is on its like 10th and final season. Like,
Shoot.
there's the amount of hours. I wonder if you just calculated the amount of hours that zombies have been on a screen.
Okay, but have you ever watched like the zombie Walking Dead tryouts?
No.
It's amazing.
What?
It's just a bunch of people walking around like zombies in a room. I'll show you. It's great.
This sounds incredible. I need to see this.
They all got numbers on them, and they just walk around like zombies.
And they're just being judged the whole time.
The entire time by this panel.
I feel like this is a youth group game waiting to happen.
Oh yes,
Top zombie.
it's a great like youth group Halloween game.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Good times. All right.
What's next?
Horror movies.
Horror movies, overrated or underrated? Again, see, this is hard. It's like everything is a little overrated. Like horror movies aren't that great.
I know. I feel like they're on like a downward. Feels
Yeah.
like they were really big for like maybe not even like 5 years ago, but like a little bit more. Like all the
Mhm.
Saw movies, all this stuff was coming out, Paranormal Activity,
Yeah.
all this stuff, and it's kind of just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Overrated, underrated. Halloween as a whole.
As a whole?
Yeah.
You know what? This is the first one. I'm going to say underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah. I think it's awesome.
It does get run over a little bit.
It does. Especially like, yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Good.
Halloween's great.
Yeah.
It's a good time. People get to dress up. People will complain about spending money on a costume. Get creative.
You got to reuse it.
Definitely.
Heck yeah.
Create a closet. Get 3 or 4. Cycle through those bad boys.
Heck yeah.
Change them up every now and
Genius.
then. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Overrated, underrated. Okay. Harry Potter.
Oh. That's a hard one. I'm going to say overrated because I don't really like Harry Potter.
I'm gonna say appropriately. rated.
Appropriate?
Appropriate.
That's not an option.
Yes, it is.
It's overrated or underrated.
no. It's appropriately. It's spot on. It's solid. It's good.
Okay.
There's enough people out there that are like you, kind of like, oh, it's whatever. And there's enough people that are like crazy fans about it.
Okay.
And then there is just that nice, healthy middle.
All right.
So, I mean, this was a staple of people's childhoods, dude. You are getting 12-year-olds to read like 600-page books.
That's pretty impressive.
It's kind of an incredible phenomenon that happened when these books came out, and then the movies and everything else. So
yeah,
it does kind of ruin it when you go, Voldemort couldn't even take over a high school. But either way, I think Harry Potter is appropriately rated. It's pretty solid.
You didn't even finish it though.
Finish what?
Harry Potter. Didn't you not read the last book?
No, that was my friend. She was too afraid
right.
to let something end. She built it up so much in her life. It became kind of like an idol, and she didn't want it to end. She was afraid to have it end. So she refused to watch the end or read the last book or do any of that. So she still to this day, as far as I know, has no idea that, spoiler alert, Harry Potter dies.
What?
Comes back to life.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, guys. There's people in the back over there pretending like they don't know about Harry Potter.
What?
Just kidding. So, all right. Overrated, underrated is now over. I want to end this and leave us on this quote and just kind of pick your brain about it a little bit. This is one of my favorite quotes by Will Smith. A little spoiled now that he slapped Chris Rock. Not cool, but I don't care because this quote's great. He says this. He says, "Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may never exist. This is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice." What do you think about that?
That's awesome. I love that the danger is a real reality. Like, sure, danger is real.
Absolutely.
Driving without your seatbelt, dangerous.
Crazy dude with a knife, dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah.
But fear is just this imaginary thing. It's just happening in your mind. And even like where half of it, won't even happen. Like there's so many times I've been afraid of something happening. Like, oh, what if this happens?
The what if.
Yeah. And then it doesn't happen. And you're like, bro, I just spent all day being afraid of this thing. That never happened.
Yeah, go through your life on all the what ifs and hit the percentage of times that those have happened. And then think about the amount of hours that you spent thinking about that what if.
Yeah. Or the what if for your what if.
You just want to make people's brains hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fear of what at present isn't even happening. It's fear of the future, fear of this possible outcome that you don't know. And once again, this is where our faith hits the road, where we know the future outcome.
Yeah.
We can be confident in the future outcome, and that should produce in us fearlessness. We should be fierce about how we go about life because we know the end of the story. Spoiler alert, Jesus wins, comes back, new heaven, new earth, new body, no sin, no pain, life with Jesus forever.
Let's go.
And do we fully embrace and fully believe that?
Yeah.
And that's the fearless life that we're called to. So yeah, fear plays an interesting role in our lives. It's something that we have to constantly struggle with and we need to push through. But the cool thing is that Jesus is with us. Our community is with us. And if we want any chance of us growing and becoming who God is calling us to be, we need to consistently face our fears and get after it, go after it. So do it. Have a good time. Have fun. Let God's perfect love cast out the fear in your life. Don't be afraid because he is with you. Have confidence in that.